Welcome to the Sage Stage. This episode is going to be parenting.
At least that's where it's starting.
And how awful or great we thought we did.
Exactly.
So stay tuned. We have no idea what's going to happen.
I'm sure our kids will put something in the comments too. So
if they listen. But we hope you do. Cheers, Jane.
Cheers. We're back.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is morning.
It is.
It is morning.
For reals. And we're doing it again. We're showing up.
We're doing it again.
High five. We showed up.
We showed up. We did it. You know what? It's, I don't know when this airs or launches. I don't know what I say in podcast world. Airs? I don't know. But I do know that the time change just happened and the full moon is happening tonight, tomorrow. I'm messed up, man.
Yes.
My energy is like, wow, I can't handle it. And then dealing with emotionally, one of my babies is going through a breakup and I'm
coming off a weekend where one of my nieces got married and my kids were home for the weekend.
So I think that emotional of, we all go through breakups and I respect everyone's privacy and I'm not even going to go into anything, but just as a parent watching your child struggle. Yes, it's a part of life we all go through.
It's normal, natural.
It's normal. I mean, it has to happen. And this is her first and big one.
But as a parent watching your child go through something that, although is necessary for their personal development, it's really hard to sit back and watch them struggle and be in pain.
Yes, and you want to be
difficult
supportive
times.
And
there's always this challenge of like, how much do I comfort and how much do I like give the safe space and how much is too much and how much is not enough and how much is respecting their personal autonomy and how much is like being invasive. And it's like this constant dance. And once you're an empty nester, it's even harder in a way.
Well, yeah, neither of my kids live with me now. Like, I've been an empty nester for years, probably sooner than I wanted to actually, because of just situations in my life, having to find a place. And Hannah and I couldn't find a place. So she decided to live with her dad and I went in the loft. Then I met Rich and then I moved here. So Hannah then took over the loft. There was just this couple of years where my little family, Kara moved out, Hannah went to school. Like we just kind of separated. I don't think we realized that was going to be
the end of
the end because it wasn't
planned.
It wasn't planned. And I'm going to cry a lot during this one. I think,
okay.
Well, I miss those times.
Yeah, I do too. And it's funny.
Because you had your kids come back.
They're still boomeranging, right?
Yes. You're still in the transition.
Yeah. My eldest is in Japan. He's coming back I expect next September. And he may be home for a little bit. He may go back to his place, but Hugh's back and forth between, when he finishes his program, but he's not home. He's not coming home. He's going on work terms. So I only get him for a weekend at a time. And, I shouldn't say I get him, but I mean, he's home for a weekend or so at a time or a week at Christmas. And it's like, it's a totally different dynamic. I find myself dropping everything and going, oh my God, like this is precious little time I have with them. So everything goes into making sure I spend quality time with them. Yeah. And even then I still feel like I'm not really showing up the way I used to. And even then, and I'm totally drained after the weekend. I'm totally drained.
Yeah. It's so hard. Like you want your children to be independent.
Yes.
You desperately want your children to be independent. But at the same time, I miss my babies. Mm-hmm. I miss them. Mm-hmm.
And you miss the time when they looked to you for everything. There's a part of you that goes, there's a certain.
But do you remember those? Do you remember the times when they did want you for everything? You're like, holy shit. Yeah. If I don't get 5 minutes to myself, I'm going to kill someone. I think that's when I kicked a hole in the door. Uh-huh. It was one of those, I'm going to lose it if I don't have 5 minutes. And that was just one baby. Yeah. I didn't even have the two then.
No. No, and it's
and you remember
to all those people who have little kids right now, like it is totally true that thing they say where the days are long but the years are short. I look back on those days when I had 3 kids under 5. And I don't have a lot of memories because I was so tired I couldn't lay them down. But I look back on that and go, it was a blink. It was a blink, and now they're.
I try not to look at those times with regret, because I do have regrets of, I wish things were different. Well, exactly. We're not perfect.
No.
But when you're young and you're wishing when you grow up and you have a family and what kind of family it's going to be and what kind of life and what kind of parenting styles. And I don't think I was an evil parent.
Of course not.
No, I mean, I had evil moments.
The ideal.
I did. Do you remember the time? Did I tell you about the time I gave my child Pop Rocks? Oh, it's so great. No, remember Pop Rocks?
Yes, I do. I'm going to make your mouth explode.
Candy. Yes, yeah. I didn't love them, but they were fun to try. Well, a girlfriend and I, we used to often, if we were both around, we'd have lunch together. So we went into town and we grabbed stuff to make like lunch for us. And then our kids were the same age and they would play, our youngest. And going through the checkout at Zayre's, we saw Mini Eggs had a Pop Rock version. So the hard candy shell around a mini egg, which is one of the most delicious candies. They had Pop Rocks in them. And we were like, oh my God, remember Pop Rocks? And we said, let's buy them as a treat for the kids. They were 5.
Sure.
So we told them, when you bite it, you're going to have like fun little things in their mouths. They're in the back seat. And they start eating it and they start freaking out. And they're like, we're in the front laughing at the beginning, going, guys, no. And then they wouldn't stop. They started sobbing. They were terrified. They were chocolates coming out of their mouth. And they both decided they needed a bath. We need a bath. So we got to Tracy's house. We threw them in the bath and we're like, should we just drink now? Because we're obviously the best mothers ever. Like, let's traumatize our children. And if you ask my daughter, she will go, yeah, that was awful. She hated it. She's never tried them again.
Of course.
But I thought it would be fun.
I know, but this is the thing, hindsight, right? We kind of go back and go, that was so great when we had them, but were we 5? Were we 8? Who knows? But it seemed like, and I remember Pop Rocks, and I remember having those moments where, I
hated when you swallowed them too fast, and then it would pop in your throat, and you're like, because it's
died.
me. No,
I should have died.
I would like, I don't want to tell anyone, but I think I might be dying right now, and I hope my family misses me. I'm 8?
That's so funny. Like the stuff that we experienced as kids was just like what you described it now. We're like, what? Who? I mean, I would go down to the candy store by myself when I was, 7, 8.
Yeah.
And with like 75 cents and buy like a bag of penny candy.
Do you know how much, like literally, this is how much I have.
Yeah.
And they would say you can have, or that you have to put that back. And we would put it back. This day and age, you don't put candy back. Well, this day and age, they don't have buckets where little kids can reach.
I know, there'd all these candies be loose in there, and there'd just be all these little dirty fingers going in and going, ow. And you know what?
We weren't as sick as everyone is now.
We were
like
fine.
there is something. And I didn't make my kids, well, I made them wash their hands before they ate, but I didn't freak out if they were playing in mud.
No.
I didn't care. I'm like, oh my God, they put sand in their mouth. I'm like, man, I hope a cat didn't shit in it.
Yeah.
Like,
God, sorry.
It sounds like don't worry. It sounds like a terrible mom, but at the same time,
they're alive.
They're alive, and we washed. I mean, they had to wash their hands before they ate.
Yeah,
but I didn't hover around.
No,
well, we didn't have a lot of hand sanitizer when my kids were really little.
No, it wasn't a thing.
It started to come in, but I didn't do that. That some moms would have their diaper wipes and wash their hands. Like it was starting to get weird when I was having kids. Like some of my friends and some parents around me were doing that, and I'd be like, "Where they're just outside? They're still outside playing. Why do you keep washing their hands? Like."
Yeah.
Wash it if you're saying, let's sit down to eat lunch, or wash your hands for dinner, but wash your hands after you pee. Those are the times you need to wash your hands, but you don't, as a child, I think they need to have some germs.
Well, there's a lot of,
so I'm going to get a lot of comments
I'm sure.
That,
I mean, but there was a lot of, there's a period there for sure where, we overcorrected. Perhaps, with the excessive hand washing and wiping and stuff, because there is some evidence to suggest that letting your kids get a little, but there's a balance.
There's a balance,
right?
But don't you find? I mean, let's look at everything in general. Like society, we go one way, and then we go there full heart, and then we go the other way.
I honestly attribute so much of this to competitive parenting, because what happened is that there was all these, like when I was younger, it was like all the perfect parenting magazines and all the like TV shows and all the things that showed not real life, but these perfect parents doing perfect things. Actually, I was part of that. I ended up.
You were a perfect parent?
No, I wasn't, but I was on a TV show in Toronto for 2 episodes. It was called Planet Parrot.
You were on TV? Oh my God.
But we knew I don't know how we knew the people, but anyways, we were in 2 episodes and they were about actually trying to solve parenting problems. And one of them was about sibling rivalry. And
did your kids have a lot of sibling rivalry?
When they were very little, right? But we actually got some really good advice about how to deal with it. And we ended up sitting down with our eldest when he was old enough to understand, which was probably more like when he was 7 and Hugh was 5. And we said to him, listen, your brother loves you artlessly. He just adores you. He says, but that is finite. There's going to come a time, if you don't treat him right, that he's going to stop feeling like that. And the feeling is there innately because he was born to love you. Yeah. But you're older enough. And Thomas liked to win games. Like he would set up games like Calvin Ball and the score is Q to 12. And there was no way that Hugh could ever win. And it was just
what older siblings do.
Exactly. Yeah. And so we understood. We said, listen, we understand, like you're creating the game, so you want to win it. But honestly, you have to make it fair or else he's not going to want to play.
That's really,
but he got it. That was the main thing.
I think, and I said, that's what I'm saying. It's really great.
I mean, I think now today, like they're so close.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's great advice at a great time. I never had that advice. And when my kids were growing up, I mean, so I have my early childhood education schooling. So I had a lot of, I thought, tools in my tool belt to help parent and stuff. And so I was very much about, you can express your feelings. There's an appropriate way, be respectful. I'm very big on respect and, sharing is caring and all those things. My kids, they fought, but I had such a great friend, Tracy, she had 3 kids, I had 2 kids, and we kind of like, she had one, then I had one, then she had one, then I had one, then she had one. So they grew up so close together. It was like the 5 little amigos, and they just played all the time. So my kids didn't, and we were very close to each other. So they were constantly playing with each other. So they didn't have a lot of sibling rivalry when they were really little because they had other friends to play with. It was a big group. So they shared as they grew up. I think there was some that I didn't know about till as an adult. But then when I think about my childhood, and you said winning, and when I said, the oldest, and I thought, I never did that. Oh, I did. And if my sisters are watching, I remember I wasn't I don't know, maybe I was your typical oldest sibling. They'd have to speak on that. But I do remember, because we weren't allowed candy a lot.
Okay.
No sugar in my house. So candy was like, that's
crack cocaine.
Yes. Yeah. And if we had candy and we had the sour candy, I naturally, still to this day, will make a sour face. And it's, I guess, amusing because my sisters loved it. So I learned very quickly, hey, if you give me your candy, I'll make that sour face. So I got the candy. Or I would do this. First one to eat the chocolate bar wins. And they did, and I'd still have mine.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
And I'm sure they did stuff to me too. And I don't even know if Amy remembers. If you watch this, let me know. Do you remember this? How terrible I was to you?
Well, the thing is, I think there's kids have to be actually taught to be sympathetic and empathetic. It's not innate as when you've got more than one. For them to be born with the milk of human kindness, they're competitors, right? They're born and they're like, you're splitting
it probably goes down to like the Neanderthal, like the survival.
And so you actually have to spend time to go, here's how you become a good sibling. And here's why there's a benefit to you. And you can't do it easily when they're really little, right? I remember Thomas, when he was really little, he was just like, I bashed him. He'd like bonk him on the head, go, I bashed him. And we'd be like, don't do that. That's not cool. And he'd be like, I bashed him. No.
Oh my God. He's going to be so happy that got mentioned. Oh my God. We're not editing this out.
You know what? Like I said, they're like bosom buddies now. And they're really decent to each other. And we, as parents, my point was, as parents, we were like, what are you doing? Like, don't you just have absolute love, milk, and kindness to your beautiful baby brother who is just like amazing? And of course not. And then I look at my own childhood and I'm like, of course not. I didn't have that. My siblings were all I was like, there was jealousy and competition, and we weren't taught, like, it wasn't.
No, but we weren't either. But my parents did instill that in us. That they would say, be nice to your sister, do that, do that. But they didn't have those conversations. We learned because my parents, they were so kind and compassionate to other people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I learned through my parents of, we always had an extra person at a holiday dinner party table. If my mom knew someone didn't have family or friends around, they would. I remember being little, there was often someone from the church coming to have dinner, and that's
amazing.
Oh yeah, if my parents could have, they would have happily lived on a commune for a few years. I mean, they're just all about
community.
Yeah, helping each other out. My dad still volunteers at the plovers in Wasaga Beach. They have plovers that every spring they find out where they've nested, and then they put fence around it, and then they have people. Plover's a little tiny sandbird.
Oh wow!
And they're not extinct, but they're in the scary part. What is that? Threatened.
They're endangered.
They're endangered. So, and a lot of jerks will come around and either squish the nest and everything. So they put fencing around
people
where
like that. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
I would like to step on them.
So
they have volunteers who will round the clock, maybe not in the middle of the night, but round during the day when people are up, watch and say, no, don't come close. My dad still does that. I mean, he's a big nature nut. Like I grew up. I still will walk through a forest, and the words of take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints. Like don't pick things out. He taught us how to dissect owl balls. Like he'd go, oh, look at owl ball, and there'd be a ball of fur. And if you took a stick, you see all the bones and stuff. Like after an owl eats an animal, they regurgitate this little fluff ball. It's very cool. I mean, then
your dad's taught you some cool stuff.
My dad has, we were taught.
My point is, your dad taught compassion, right?
Yes.
Like I said, don't be down on yourself as a parent, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If your kids aren't born with the milk of human kindness and absolute adoration for each other, that, in my experience, is normal. And it takes actually extraordinary patience and love to teach your kids how to be empathetic and kind, and to explain to them why there'll eventually be benefit. But it is a long game. Like we had to play that long game, and we, like I said, although we started very young,
we're also on the same page.
Yeah, for
it's very hard when you have two parents and they have very opposing
family of origin,
parenting styles, expectations.
I always say, so that's another. A marriage doesn't thrive because of kids; it survives because of kids. I mean, no, I've got that wrong again. Hold on. A marriage survives in spite of kids, not because of kids.
Oh, right.
It's not. There's nothing. And this might not be a popular opinion, but for me, I love my children to the end of the world. I would step in front of a bus 100 times for them. But my marriage. It was hard on the marriage. Like bringing children into it was not the thing that bound us together.
No,
like
anyone
all
who
of our childhood shit came up, right? And
yeah,
we were like, oh my God, you want what? How do you want a parent? How do I want a parent? And all of our crap came up. Right.
Anyone who says, let's have a baby, that'll fix our relationship. I'm like, closer. You're going to be broken up in like months.
No. You have to be rock solid, in my opinion. And if you're not, be prepared to work on it.
Yeah. And the other thing when having kids is, you do have to prioritize your marriage.
Oh yeah.
And that's really another thing. And a lot of parents don't. And that's why when the kids leave, they look at each other and go, who are you? Why are we together? We don't really have anything in common anymore.
I have several people I know who've
I do too.
Who've just said, we're getting divorced
because I mean, there's no,
out and they're like, we got nothing left.
Yeah. No fighting. Not like they had a miserable marriage. They just kind of didn't put it as a priority and drifted apart. And when they weren't busy with all their kids stuff, they weren't a couple anymore. They were just roommates. Yeah. And I think that's fine. Then you shouldn't be together. Like you should be happy. Everyone should be happy.
But happiness is an active choice. You have to work at it. And the thing about a baby is that a baby will suck up every single moment and bit of you because they're designed to. For you to actually create space in your marriage is almost, as a young mother, I found it like, I remember when John was like, we need time for us. And I'd be like, what do you mean? Like this baby needs everything from me. And it does.
I wasn't like that.
No, but I was like, in my head, like my biological setting was like, no, my 100% focus is here on this baby. And you're over there and you can take care of yourself. But then of course the intellectual part of me went, wait a sec. I need to make sure that this is valued too.
You obviously were.
I was biologically hacked, right? I felt like I had, I had to get into my head to start my marriage.
But your marriage was probably, you felt safe in that.
True.
See, I did not have that. I mean, yes, my kids were everything, but I was always trying to make time for the marriage. And I didn't feel, and this is again, my memory of it is I would try so hard to have a date night if the kids went to bed and go, let's put out a charcuterie, let's watch a movie, let's try and do something, because I didn't feel secure. And
that's amazing though. Like that takes a lot of energy and effort, and at a time when the kids are small, like I really want to commend you on that. I give John all the credit for our marriage staying intact in those early years, because I was really struggling with trying to separate my priorities.
But I was also not strong in myself in those years, so I was just trying to make everybody happy.
Right.
I was trying to make my kids happy because I mean I wanted to, and I had to keep them alive. I had to keep them alive, right? Because they would die. And then my marriage, like even then, was we didn't have that sure footing.
Right.
Lots of love there, but there was never that sure footing. And then that's. We're not talking about relationships, but honestly, you got to have that sure footing, because love isn't enough.
No,
love isn't enough.
You got to work at it.
You have to work at it, and you have to really, really.
And you know what? I mean, like John and I waited 5 years before we had kids. So we had 5 years, and I'll be perfectly honest, and he won't have any problem with me saying this. Within those first 5 years, because we got married very quickly, we were only dating 6 months and then engaged for only 9 months. So we'd only been over together.
I was dating 6 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And we and it was funny, I attribute this advice to a very dear friend of ours who, when we got engaged after 6 months, we were like, hey, we know it was really quick, we're going to have a long engagement. And a very good friend went, don't do that. And I was like, why? And she's like, engagement is like, it takes so much out of a couple, that whole marriage thing. And there's a whole machine around, just get her done as fast as you can.
I was married within 3 months or 4 months. Wait a minute. August, September, October, November, December, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. Right.
Because I had waited 6 years for the ring and the proposal. And then I knew I wanted kind of a fall wedding or a winter wedding, and I wasn't going to wait a whole year. And I just like, no, I can get this done. Yeah, and we just boom, boom,
and
boom,
we're both
boom,
like that. We're like, we can make shit happen when we want to, right? But
but it was exhausting.
But there's a huge machine out there now for couples. They're like, oh, we need a year to buy the dress and a year to. And it's like, no, you don't.
No, so many
but
people
it's also
are
so hard. But my point was to go back to finish that point, because it's important. Is that we were in marriage therapy within 2 years, so we knew.
And I think that's great, and I love that for you.
Oh my goodness, we love each other to bits, but we don't know how to do this.
I love that you both said we need to go talk to someone, not because our relationship's falling apart.
No,
but there's an issue there. And I think that's so fantastic. And maybe if more people could put their egos aside, and that's what it's going to take. You have to put your ego aside and say,
in a marriage for us to go,
and to say, I love you, I like you. There's some parts that if we let this slide in 10, 20 years, it's going to kill us.
Exactly.
And I think that's fantastic. And we did go to marriage counseling. And I learned a lot from it that I brought into all relationships after the marriage ended, was in personal and professional relationships, like asking people, checking things out, how to listen, and just a lot of great tools. So even if you go to couples counseling and it doesn't work out, you're going to learn a lot about yourself and how to move forward into the next.
And I actually relationship. Even though and I'm very grateful, our marriage has been 30 years now, but I'm also very much of the belief, if a marriage ends and both couples are better, then that's the right thing, right? Like I honestly think sometimes relationships are meant to have an arc,
And I can't speak for my ex, but I think we're in a fairly decent Like we can be in a room together. We go out for dinner for our kids' birthdays. Up until I met Rich and moved to Guelph, he would come over Christmas morning. We had Christmas morning together. And I that was important to both of us, that we didn't want to hate each other for life, because we have children together. And I think that's important for children to know that you're still a family, no matter how it changes, and how it evolves. It doesn't mean we don't love each other anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You love each other differently. You know? And I'm I'm really grateful that we did therapy as quickly as we did, because it gave us some tools. And we ended up doing early marriage therapy, got some tools, and then we went a few years and we were good. And then we came up to another Gregorian knot of complications that we couldn't get through. And then we went and saw somebody else and got some more tools. Oh my gosh. And then we had babies.
Then might you add babies. And I'm just sitting here, I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking, people who we have a new grandson, Rich's son. I mean, he has 4 grandsons. They live in Alberta, and I can't play with them as much as I would love to, because I love them. So this grandbaby lives closer, so hopefully we'll get to spend more time with him. But they're young parents, and I got to say, I watch them, and I think good for them, and they seem to be much more relaxed than I was with a newborn, with my first newborn. Because when we had the book and we had all the stuff, and we were told that this is the way to do it. And I think, I'm going to say, here's a blessing of social media. Other people talk about different styles that I didn't know of.
Yep.
And all these other things, we have more resources out there. Oh, so she's like, yeah, this is great. And I just love that they're more enjoying the time instead of that panic. I had such huge panic. When I was pregnant, when she was born, like all the stuff. And the only thing, if I went back, the only thing I probably would change is just relax a little. I think if I was more relaxed as a mom, my anxieties wouldn't be instilled into my children, which they both, they got it. But the anxiety comes from love. So, I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do parenting. The only wrong way is to not love your children. You know what I mean? Or neglect. Obviously
there's bad things to do, right? But the point is, everyone's gonna, if you love your kids, you're gonna try your best. And I know that I was an imperfect parent, and I don't believe there's such a thing. Here's the biggest piece of advice for anyone my biggest piece of advice I said to anyone, and I'm writing a book about a reverse memoir about the strategies I developed as a parent. But also I'm getting my kids feedback in every chapter. Like, here's something I did, and I'm asking them as adults. It's like, what did you think about this strategy? And will you use it if you have children? And some of them are like, hell yeah. And other ones are like, no. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. But I don't do it as formally as you do, but my kids and I will talk, and they're just like, Mom, you did that. But they also have different memories.
Right. Well, this is it, right? I have very distinct memories. My kids are like, I don't remember that. And other things they remembered, I'm like, oh my God, that's a blur. But the biggest piece of advice is to get your kids. Meaning, like, I very much believe that your children are born with a certain personality and wiring, and who they are is largely nature. You nurture, but you're nurturing their personality, nature that is born with them. And your job is to kind of unwrap them like a present and go, who are you? Who is this person I was gifted? Who is this individual? They have very distinct personalities. My children, all are very, very different. They have,
they're also very different, but also do you
did I parent them differently? I don't think so.
Well, I was thinking about that as you were talking, because
birth order, of course, has an impact.
There's the birth order, and where you are as a person gives you have different energy. Not that you had a different parenting style, but your energy was different. The first one, we tend to panic a little. I heard this saying. The first one is China. Like fine china. The second is Tupperware. Oh, I can't remember. It was China, Tupperware, and then the last one was like paper plates. Or like plastic dishes.
Like how you treat them. Like,
not that, because you weren't so panicky about it.
Right.
And also
you develop resilience.
You're a different person. So you're a different parent, because we keep growing, right? So and I'm thinking, because we have three of us in our family. And I remember growing up, people would say, "Oh, they're so different." Like, if they look at the three of us, we're all very different. We're all very similar in some regards, but we're so very different in our likes, in our traits, but we had the same parents.
Well, this is it. And I honestly, because I was in business with my sister for many years, we ended up doing personality tests as we were trying to figure out business strategies. And she and I are the direct opposite. And we did 5 different ones. And in every single one, we were the exact opposite.
That's so awesome.
We're like, how did that, same parents, we're born 4 years apart, but we are completely different people with different.
Is there a kid in between you?
Yes.
There's one kid in between you?
Yes.
Okay. So that also.
It'd be interesting to have her do them and see where she is. But
see how, if she's somewhere in the middle of you guys?
No, because my younger sister's probably has more in common with my elder sister.
Right.
And it's nothing, some of it has nothing to do with birth orders. What my point is like, it's who you innately, intrinsically are. I think as a parent, your job is to go, okay, all 3 of my kids are introverts.
Yeah.
John and I are extroverts. And we're like, how'd that happen? But they're very clearly all like, I need you to charge my battery.
Okay, but do you think it's because you guys were extroverts, they're introverts? Because I look at my kids and look at me, and I'm like, woo, and I brought them to theater, I brought them to improv shows. They were always around lots of people. I encouraged creativity, and they are both
introverts.
They like animals more than people. I mean, they have their friends, so they're not.
But I don't think you turn people into
No, I don't think so.
Right?
But I even look at
what you did made them introverts.
No.
I think they were.
Well, their dad is more introverted,
right? So
but I see that. But I sometimes think, wow, I just can't. I look at my children and I think I'm their mom, and they have traits in me, but. Nobody, but they didn't go after that. They didn't go after each parent. Their dad's an aerospace engineer. I'm all the crazy things I am, I'm a creative. Let's say that.
You're a creative.
If you're going to put it in a nutshell, I'm a creative. They are, one is like a farm girl and one is an animal girl. Like they just,
but that's because that's innately.
I don't even know where it got, but genetically, like, where does that even come from?
Like I said, I don't even think it's genes. I think it's the spirit that's within them. Like I
love that. Like, right? I love watching. Like, I love watching my kids, even my niece and nephew.
All my kids, I like. There's parts that I can see of myself and of John, but most of that has been, like I said, who they intrinsically are is like, it was kind of like, I remember when Hugh was, very clearly he's a STEM guy. Like, he is a science, math, loves that stuff. And I remember just going, I don't know where I got that from. But then I realized, no, there's a part of John. There's a part of him that loves that. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so that really blossomed in him. Like, that kid was born with a lot of that. And Blythe is a total creative, but also like an introvert, and has this also, she's in a game design program, so there's a part of her that really likes that. I'm like, it's solo, very each one, and Thomas is a total foodie like me, but way more, and a writer, and he initially went to acting school, and so John and I are both like, oh, he's an actor like us, and then after a very short time they were like, oh no, he's a creative, but he's not an actor, right? And he's an introvert, and he's like, he would spend all his time in the library writing, right? And the program was like, it was a really difficult program for him to get into too. It was very like a select 26 kids across Canada. He got in. We were like, oh shit. Our kids got, but no, after 6 months, they were like, this is not the right thing for him. And he's like, this is not the right thing for me. And it's because he probably thought maybe he should follow in our footsteps. Right. And then thank God, very quickly he went, oh yeah, no. Yeah. Because he's who he is, And I think the biggest thing I'm most proud about is that my kids, I think, know who they are, right? And they didn't try to become something for us. They were like, I was constantly going, does it bring you joy? Is this making you happy? Is there something inside you that lights up? Is it, and there's things I made mistakes on for sure. There's other things I think we all make mistakes. And I think about I'm not kids, a perfect parent, but there's certain things I did right. They're still trying to find who they are a little bit. You know what I mean? They're in their 20s.
Oh, that's
So
that's what I was going to say.
It's a lifelong process.
Yes, it's 100%. It never stops. And that's what I tell my kids. One of the biggest things I try and instill in them is like, the only mistake to make is don't make a choice. Like, you have to choose. Right. Should I do this or this? Which one is right? I don't know. You don't know. But the wrong thing to do is nothing. And I say this, and as I'm saying this, I'm thinking of all the things that I have not done in my past because I was living small, right, and allowing everything to happen. But I'm kind of trying to.
But here we are.
Yeah, and trying to teach my children that they just to be themselves, and there's nothing wrong with themselves. As long as you are a decent human being on this planet, trying your best not to hurt anybody, you're doing great. Yeah. And if you do hurt someone, say sorry. Exactly. Like you were taught as a child. Did you hit your friend? You say sorry right now.
Exactly. But here's the thing. That's it's just going to be a big, good place to wind this up, is because that's why we're doing this. It's us going, you know what? It's saying yes. Like when we both had the idea to do this podcast, we both just kind of went, and both got lit up, and then immediately both went, but we don't know how to do that. And it'll be scary, and it'll be hard. And who's going to want to listen to us, right? We had all those demons pile on and we said yes anyway. That's the point. We say yes. It's the unexamined life. I don't want to be on my deathbed. Well, I wish I'd done that podcast with Chandra, even if this is not successful, at least we did it.
We did it. And I think if anything, that's basically been my life. Like when I teach, and anything is always try and help the younger generation, and people my age too, if they haven't, is try and learn this sooner than later, and don't let people stop you. And as parents, all we can do is our best. And our kids,
and admit when we fucked up.
I try very hard to admit when I used to tell my kids when I lost it, I would go and say, Mommy, that was not appropriate. Yeah. I lost my temper. It's okay to lose your temper, but here I am apologizing because I recognize that was not acceptable. So I wanted to, try and teach them that, yes, emotions happen, because I'm very emotional. I'm very, very emotional, and everything comes out really big. All the emotions tend to come out big. And sometimes I have to apologize for that big emotion.
Because it can be too much for them. It
can be too much for anybody, but no,
too much is the wrong way to put it. It can
it
can just be more than that person is comfortable with.
It is too much for kids.
Don't make yourself wrong.
I think it's no, but sometimes you come out and I will say sometimes I'm wrong in my emotions coming out as strongly as they did. Okay. They don't deserve to be coming. I deserve to have them, but I don't think there are times when expressed. That was not acceptable.
Right.
So I would say to them, this is not acceptable, and I'm apologizing. I don't know if they remember that. Maybe they just remember Mom lost her shit. I don't know.
I suspect they remember the apology. I mean, it would matter. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, these are questions I have not asked them, but I think
you can now.
We can now. And I think, really, kids are kids and parents are parents. And as long as there's love in a household.
This is it. And humility. And I went to my kids when they were teenagers and I said, I'm guaranteed to fuck this up one way or another. I said, I love you and I'm going to do my very best, but there's things I'm going to do that just don't there's no such thing as a perfect parent. I said, and when I can't help you with something because either the problem is me or it's something around me, I said, I will, here's the number for a really good therapist.
Yeah.
I will pay for that therapist. I said, you deserve to have someone to talk to you about this. I said, because frankly, I think everyone eventually needs to go there. You might as well go there sooner than later. And I have no ego around that. I'm I'm doing my best here.
I used to make the joke that I wasn't saving for school funds. It was their therapist fund. But I have no money. So they didn't get money for anything. But I have offered and often suggested that they talk to someone.
And I think
it's
not just my kids. I would say that to anybody.
An unexamined life is not really a life.
It could be, put it this way, your life will be a lot more fulfilled if you look at the hard parts.
Yeah.
That's how
you grow. You know what? When you're a kid and your parents do things that have
a negative impact
or scarred you or affected you in a certain way. Yes, it's on the parent when you're little, but when you're a grown up, You got it. Now it's your turn. And we can just say, sorry, we love you.
Yeah.
Sorry, we love you.
Yeah.
So kids, we love you. And
we love you.
We love you.